You know, we've all done it. A quick online search to dig up a little info. But what happens when that digital trail just goes cold? Well, today, we're going beyond the screen. We're diving into the investigator's real-world playbook.
This quote right here, it just nails the biggest misconception out there. It's a total rookie mistake to think everything's online, because it's not. The most critical information, a lot of the time, that's hiding offline, in some dusty file cabinet or forgotten archive.
So that's the big question, right? When the screen goes dark, where does a real investigation even start? Let's pull back the curtain and step into that world of physical investigation where the real secrets, they aren't found with a click, but with a walk right into a courthouse.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about what I call the digital illusion. Yeah, the internet promises us this world of information right at our fingertips, but believe me, it has some pretty serious blind spots.
Take a look at this. On the left, an event happens. Let's say an arrest happens today. Now look at the right. It could take 30, 60, even 90 days for that to actually show up in an online database. That gap, that's called lag time, and for an investigator, it's a huge problem. Meanwhile, the physical courthouse docket has that info immediately.
And here's the other crucial piece of the puzzle. An online record might tell you, sure, a divorce was filed, but it's just the summary. It won't give you the full story. You know, the financial disclosures, the sworn affidavits, all the details of a restraining order, all that really important stuff is buried in what's called the physical deep file.
And that brings us to a foundational skill for any investigator, cracking the courthouse code. This is where the real work begins, the moment you step away from the keyboard.
Think of the courthouse as a giant treasure chest. Seriously. And this table, this is your treasure map. Civil court, as you can see, that's where you find the financial gold mine. Disclosures, lawsuits, all that. Criminal court, that's where you can really dig into someone's past, find out who they hang out with. And the county clerk's office? Well, that's where you uncover all the secrets about property. And speaking of secrets, here's a classic little trick that investigators are always on the lookout for: a property transferred for just $1. That is a massive red flag. It almost always means someone is trying to hide an asset by, selling it to a family member. So, how do you actually get your hands on that deep file? Well, it's a pretty simple four-step process. First, you locate the case number in the index, then you go and request the actual file. You have to review it right there, on site, and finally, you copy or photograph the pages that matter. It's that straightforward. And here's a pro tip for you. If a document needs to be used as actual evidence, a simple photocopy just won't cut it. Nope, you need what's called a certified copy. It's got the court's official raised seal on it, and that's what makes it legally binding. All right, let's switch gears. We're going to move from the dusty file rooms into the shadows with a much higher stakes technique, the trash pull.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're thinking. Wait a minute, is that even legal? It feels like it shouldn't be, right? Well, believe it or not, the answer is a bit more complicated than you might think.
It all comes down to this one legal concept called curtilage. Now, curtilage is basically the area immediately around your home, your yard, your driveway. The Supreme Court has actually ruled that once you place your trash on the curb for collection, it's no longer on your curtilage. It's public, and you've given up your expectation of privacy.
Now, because this is so risky, professionals follow a super strict protocol. Step 1 is timing. You go right before pickup is scheduled. Step 2 is the grab. You take the bags and you leave, quickly. Step 3 is the sort. You analyze everything later, in a secure, private location. It's a fast, methodical operation.
But let me be absolutely clear. This is not for amateurs. The risks are huge. You could be charged with trespassing if you step on their property. Some towns even have local laws against scavenging. And that's not even mentioning the obvious physical dangers that could be lurking inside a trash can.
Okay, so not all physical research is quite that dramatic. Let's look at some less exciting, but honestly, equally powerful sources of information you can find just sitting in public archives.
You ever see a business with a generic name like Sunshine Cleaners and wonder who actually owns it? Well, a fictitious business name filing, sometimes called a DBA for doing business as, is a public document that connects that generic name to a real person. And it doesn't stop there. Voter registration rolls can tell you exactly who lives at a certain address, who their cohabitants are. And building permits, they can reveal not just renovations, but sometimes even the entire floor plan of a building. It's all just sitting there.
So what's the big takeaway here? Let's put all these pieces together and really see what gives an investigator that critical edge. Look, if you remember anything from this, remember these things.
The digital world is just not enough. The real evidence, the good stuff, is in that physical, deep file. Any high-risk tactics demand a professional with strict protocols. And a lot of the time, it's the most boring, overlooked public records that reveal the biggest secrets. At the end of the day, the physical world is what holds the context, the detail, and the hard evidence that all those digital summaries just can't give you. It's the difference between knowing that something happened and truly understanding how and why.
And this all leaves us with a pretty provocative question, doesn't it? When so much of our lives is documented and filed away in public records, from our property deeds all the way down to the trash we throw away, where does our privacy truly begin?